am Ashritha Maben, Assistant Professor, Department of Trauma Care Management, Yenepoya School of Allied Health Sciences, Yenepoya deemed to be University. Today my topic is Decompression Sickness, in short DCS. Before we get into the subject, we'll look into the specific learning objectives. After participating in this session, attendees will be able to define decompression sickness, explain the physics of pressure, gas solubility, and nitrogen behavior using examples, describe the pathophysiology of DCS, including bubble formation in tissues, explain individual risk factors for DCS from case scenarios, list out the clinical features of type 1 and type 2 DCS, describe preventative strategies, assessment, and management process for DCS. What is decompression sickness? It is a potentially life-threatening condition that occurs when dissolved gases, commonly nitrogen, form bubbles in the bloodstream and tissues. It predominantly affects individuals who experience rapid ambient pressure changes, such as scuba divers, high-altitude aviators, and individuals who work in a pressurized environment. This mainly follows Henry's law, which is the amount of gas dissolved in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas above the liquid, meaning the higher pressure forces the gas into the liquid and lower pressure releases it. For example, when you're scuba diving with the compressed air, you take in extra oxygen and nitrogen. Your body uses the oxygen and the nitrogen is dissolved in your body. Now, as you swim back towards the surface after a deep dive, the pressure around you decreases. If this transition happens too quickly, rapid enough, then the body doesn't have time to clear out the dissolved nitrogen. So the nitrogen in your blood will come out of your blood and then form bubbles. These exact bubbles can cause decompression sickness. What happens in your body during decompression sickness is similar to what happens when you open a carbonated drink. So when you open the can or a bottle, the pressure surrounding the beverage in the container decreases. So now the gas in the liquid comes out of the container in the bubble form. So these exact bubbles or these exact nitrogen bubbles in your blood can block the blood vessels, cut down the blood flow, and cause the signs and symptoms. Let's move on to the physics of decompression sickness. Say the body is currently saturated with oxygen and nitrogen at a partial pressure equal to the partial pressure of the gas in the alveolar air. Alveolar air is contained in the alveolus within our lungs. So now 1 bar, which is 1 atmosphere, is the standard pressure at the surface level where we are at right now, and it increases by 1 bar for every 10 meters of depth that you dive. So the surface partial pressure of nitrogen is 0.79 bars. So at the depth of 10 meters, where the absolute pressure becomes 2 bar, the partial pressure of nitrogen will also have doubled to 1.58 bars, which means there is 0.79 bar difference between the nitrogen pressure in the blood and nitrogen pressure in the alveolar air, which is known as the gradient. So this gradient is the exact force that causes the nitrogen to diffuse through the lung tissues and be absorbed into the blood. So similar gradient exists between the nitrogen in the blood and nitrogen in the tissues. Nitrogen absorption in the tissues depends on blood flow and pressure gradient. Well-perfused tissues absorb and eliminate nitrogen rapidly. These are the tissues which have high blood supply. They are called fast tissues. For example, your heart, kidneys, and brain. Poorly perfused tissues are the ones who receive poor blood supply. So these tissues will absorb and eliminate nitrogen slowly. Hence they are called slow tissues. For example, adipose tissues, which stores your fat. So at a constant depth, tissue reaches nitrogen equilibrium, which is called saturation. Like I already mentioned, at 10 meter depth, body nitrogen content is nearly double that at the surface. So during ascent, reduced pressure can cause nitrogen to diffuse out. This process is called desaturation. When this happens rapidly, when there is rapid ascent, it can create high desaturation gradients, which can further cause the risk of bubble formation and decompression sickness. Moving on to the pathophysiology, exposure to high ambient pressure, meaning when you scuba dive or when you work in a high pressure environment, the pressure around you forces the gas in the air into your body. This causes increased nitrogen dissolution in blood and tissues. We all know that nitrogen is an inert gas and it dissolves in blood and tissues under pressure, especially in fat, joints and in nervous system. So when there is rapid reduction in ambient pressure, meaning when you ascend too fast or when you skip your decompression stops, there is inadequate elimination of nitrogen via lungs. The body doesn't have enough time to clear out the dissolved nitrogen through normal breathing. Instead, the nitrogen in your blood comes out of the blood and forms gas bubbles. So these bubbles can block the blood vessels, stretch out the tissues and cause injury to the inner lining. This causes inflammation and clot formation. So because there is blockage of blood flow, there is reduced oxygen, and then this causes edema and nerve injury. This can show up in clinical manifestations of decompression sickness, which is pain in joints, breathlessness, itching and rashes over your skin, and then confusion. Moving on to individual risk factors. Dehydration. Dehydration equals less blood volume and circulation, which means there is slower nitrogen ejection, which means more bubble formation. Patent foramen oval, PFO. This allows venous nitrogen to bypass the lungs and enter arterial circulation, which can cause neurological DCS. Previous injuries. So injured tissues have altered blood flow, which means the nitrogen can accumulate easily. So you can see local bubble formation in the tissues. Cold ambient temperature. This can cause peripheral vasoconstriction, which means there is retention of nitrogen and the gas bubbles. High body fat content. So the nitrogen is highly soluble in the fat, and we also discovered that adipose tissues, which are poorly perfused tissues, absorb and eliminate a nitrogen slowly. So since there is high fat storage, there is high nitrogen storage but less elimination, which means high risk for decompression sickness. And any recent alcohol consumption, this can cause dehydration and alter with the blood circulation. Moving on to the signs and symptoms, musculoskeletal symptoms are also called as type 1 DCS or the bends. These include deep persistent joint pain commonly seen in shoulders, elbows, knees and hips, and the pain worsens with movement. There is muscle pain, stiffness, swelling around the joints and then local tenderness. You can also see cutaneous symptoms, which is known as skin DCS. These include pruritus, which is deep intense itching. Then there is cutis marmorata, which is bluish reddish color of the skin, burning or crawling sensation under the skin. Neurological symptoms, which is called as type 2 DCS, include headache, paresthesia, which is numbing and tingling sensation, paralysis, ataxia, which is poor coordination, altered level of consciousness, visual disturbances, and in severe cases you can see seizures. Vestibular symptoms, which is also known as inner ear DCS or the staggers, include vertigo, nausea and vomiting, loss of balance and hearing disturbances. Pulmonary symptoms, which are called the chokes, includes chest tightness, dyspnea, which is shortness of breath, abdominal pain and persistent cough. Moving on to the prevention. To minimize the risk of decompression sickness while diving, dive and rise slowly in the water. Slowly ascend and then take decompression stops. Do not fly within 24 hours after diving. Don't drink alcohol before diving. Do not exercise heavily 6 hours prior to a dive. And do not allow yourself to become overly cold during dives, which can cause hypothermia, which means there is peripheral vasoconstriction, which can retain the nitrogen bubbles. Make sure you're well hydrated and well rested. Now, moving on to the assessment and management, cardiovascular resuscitation should be delivered for unconscious patients with no pulse or respiration, regardless of what the cause is. If patient is suspected of DCS, then deliver 100% oxygen until hyperbaric oxygen therapy (HBOT) is available. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy or hyperbaric oxygen chambers is the pressurized chambers which deliver 100% oxygen. So this treatment can drive back the nitrogen into its liquid state and help body eliminate it through a period of time. Initiate intravenous fluid administration and continue cardiac monitoring. The optimal treatment is recompression, which is the use of hyperbaric oxygen chamber. So the patient must be placed upright or have their head elevated if vomiting occurs to prevent aspiration. The Trendelenburg and left lateral decubitus position are no longer recommended for extended periods as they increase the risk of cerebral edema. Never take a diver bag underwater and attempt recompression. Summary. So, DCS occurs when dissolved gases, mainly nitrogen, form bubbles in tissues and blood due to rapid ascent or pressure changes. The severity depends on depth, duration of dive, ascent rate and individual risk factors. Symptoms can range from joint pain and rashes to neurological deficits, vertigo and respiratory distress. Management includes immediate oxygen therapy, hydration, recompression therapy and preventative strategies such as slow ascent and better dive planning. These are the references. Thank you.